Are you a real ham if you buy commercial antennas or build your own? I don't know. We'll find that out maybe next on Live Free and Ham. Hello and welcome to Live Free and Ham podcast. It's our bi-weekly show where we explore ham radio topics in New Hampshire, New England, and beyond. Whether you're a regular listener or first-time guest, we're excited to have you here and we appreciate your support. And thanks for tuning into this week's episode. So let's get into today's show. I'm your host, Eric, call sign N1JUR, and I'm with my co-hosts, Paul.
This is Paul, KF4TPY.
And I'm Todd W1STJ.
And one day as a host, I will get it right. Okay. So before our discussion and we dive in the show, we always like to catch up and let our listeners know what's going on and where we're going to be. As always, this month in February, we'll be scheduling a live stream on our YouTube channel. So you want to make sure you update our socials and check out the website because that date and time varies monthly. But make sure you subscribe and you'll definitely get notified when we go live. And so without further ado, back to our regular segment here.
And now for something a little extra with Todd W1STJ.
All right. Well, once again, our segment, a little something extra with Todd, is where we're helping Todd out to try to get prepared for his extra. So if you're looking maybe get upgraded, or maybe you're first looking to get your technician license, well, we'll invite you to play along. And if you've got any questions, we'd love to help you out and kind of give you some guidance on where you can get plugged in and start getting the material. So what we like to do, like I said, each episode, we test Todd on his knowledge. And now over to our favorite VE Quizmaster. Paul, go ahead and take it away.
All right. I'll make it big so you can see, but
and big in it.
Begin. All right, Todd. Question number 1. Which of the following signal paths is most likely to experience high levels of absorption when the A index or K index is elevated? Is the answer A, polar, B, trans-equatorial, C, sporadic E, or D, invis?
And the answer is
All right, Paul, I'm going to go with C, sporadic E.
That is
emotional, damn it.
the correct answer is polar.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, well, we're not off to a good start here, but that's all right, folks. We still have 2 more chances to get Todd into the right light here. So on to question number 2, Mr. Quizmaster.
And you know, it's okay because I didn't remember the answer to that one either.
Nor did I, so I will give you credit for that.
All right, question number 2. How does the maximum range of ground wave propagation change when the signal frequency is increased? Is the answer A, it peaks at roughly 14 megahertz. B, it stays the same. C, it decreases, or D, it increases.
They didn't do an all of the above this time. I'm surprised.
There is no all of the above.
And the answer is
We'll speed this one up.
I'll say A, it peaks at roughly 14 megahertz.
No. If I remember correctly, it decreases. Yeah, there it is. It decreases.
You take drugs,
All right.
Danny?
All right, let's see if we can go to number 3.
Yeah,
Let's
can
try
I
to
get one right?
We're hoping. You know, this is definitely not going to be a meatloaf moment.
All right, here we go. Question number 3. Which of the following frequency ranges is most suited for meteor scatter communications? Is it A, 220 megahertz to 450 megahertz, B, 10 megahertz to 14 megahertz, C, 28 megahertz to 148 megahertz, or is it D, 1.8 megahertz to 1.9 megahertz?
Ooh,
Oh,
I don't
geez.
even think I know this answer.
I remember hearing this.
Hmm.
Let's see. Well, if I was honest, I'd just say the I don't know button. But doesn't help. I- you know what? I'm just gonna go with I'm gonna go with A
Meteor
again.
scatter.
Yeah,
Where are you
I'm gonna
going?
go with I'm gonna try A. I don't know. Nope.
Oh,
Good question. Before you hit what's the real answer? I'm guessing it's like 28 to 148.
That was
Ah,
my
correct.
second guess.
28 to 148.
because meter scatter is usually 2 meter, sideband. So, but okay. Wow. All right. Well, hey, that was a
All right,
tough one.
I'll do better next week, guys. You know.
Can't win them all. Can't be all home runs. It's totally understandable. And we were all, I think we were all with you, Todd, with the fact that I don't think any of us ever really had the right answers either. So with that, if you, like I said, are working towards getting your ticket, then, make sure you follow along. And, we also want to hear the successes too. So even though today wasn't a great success, it
It's a
was a good
complete failure on my end.
we want to hear if you've gone out and got your technician or you got your general, like, let us know. Send us an email at livefreeandham at gmail.com, and we will make sure we give you a shout out and make sure you get recognized for all your efforts. And we want to welcome you to the hobby. So cool. All right, well, with that, hopefully we'll have a better conversation tonight. So before we dive into what we're going to be talking about tonight on antennas, let's kind of talk about what's been going on in your ham radio week. So, based off of, the OCD structure again, I'm going to follow Paul. What's been good on your ham week?
Well, so I've been doing a lot of learning on networking and how to make virtual COM ports and COM port tunnels and things of that nature this week. Working on the remote radio project and how to get easily accessible radios for troops that are deployed. And
Mhm.
so I made a lot of good progress, and with a couple simple free apps, somebody should be able to very easily remote into my radio, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. So
Awesome.
it's pretty neat.
Well, we'll have to dive in more on that once you finally get everything all situated, and we can talk more on that one. And I'm excited to hear more or your progress, especially with it. And we can definitely take some time to put some coverage and help the troops out. And hey, what more better to give them the access to ham radio anytime they want it and need it. And, that's I'm all for that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and then they're not waiting for things to get sent to them. Like I got a buddy in Romania, and I sent him an NFED halfwave probably 2 weeks ago, and he still hasn't got it yet. So,
Oh my gosh, that sucks.
They send it on a boat.
oh, the mail is slow going overseas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big bummer. I mean, too bad they're not a way we could get like one of the local companies over there to just ship it, but it'd probably be the same, no matter whether they're in Europe or in that area to try to get over to that way in general. So that's a bummer. Yeah, I can barely wait 2 days even when Amazon wants to drop us something at my door. I can only imagine it would take weeks. That would kill me. All right, cool. Well, with that, how was your ham radio work, Todd? What's been going on with you?
So I started my Go box, went over to Ryan's, and we spent probably like an hour or two, maybe an hour and a half, fabricated one of the shelves and had another one put in, planned it all out. I bought the piece of metal to fabricate the bracket that the radio is actually going to sit in. And once we get that built, we're going to put everything in, and we'll be good to go. And then hopefully, once we get everything in place, we're going to measure, put the wires in, all the cords, and I'll have it done shortly, I hope.
Now, with your Go box, are you doing kind of like a simple phase 1 build, or you got some special things you're going to be throwing in it this round?
No, it's going to be pretty simple. It's going to have a speaker, a tuner, and the radio, and then it'll have some USB A and C ports, and that's about it. So
Oh.
I think Paul's frozen. Either that, he's pretty still. Are you frozen there? Oh, there you are. What did you do? Did you pause yourself?
Internet might have got a little wonky there. It was a good pose, though. You were like frozen, like with your something like.
I'm really excited about this Go box. No, but this is going to be good because once it's up and running, it's going to have my DX10 in it, and it'll be good for POTA, field day, and basically anywhere I want to go. Locally, I'm not going to be dragging that thing on the airport, but if I'm driving somewhere.
I was going to ask you what you were going to put in it. So DX10,
DX10. I have a tuner and a speaker, and that's about it. The battery will be external, and it's going to be very simple. It's basically going to be there to protect my. I want it to be able to just plug in a battery into it and voila, I'm working. Antenna, battery, and be done with it. So that's basically what it's going to be for now. But things will always change, and I'm sure I'll come up with some other idea or want something better.
We did forget to mention at the beginning of this episode that obviously we're missing one of the 4 amigos here, and he is off enjoying the friendly skies as always. So Ryan, you'll be missed, but we've learned that his Go box, although was a beautiful design and great setup, has now been torn down or modified for 2.0. So I think we'll be in store for some very interesting stuff as to what's.
We're basically, it's going to be very much like his original one. We're just tweaking a few things, some things that do a little bit better. I think little adjustments here and there, but I have a pretty big, not a big speaker, but larger than what he had. So we had to kind of figure out where we're going to line it all up. So the radio will be on the left side, and the speaker and the tuner will be kind of on the right.
Mm-hmm. So cool. Yeah,
it'll be good. It'll be simple, but it'll work, and I think it'll be good for. It's going to protect the radio, and it's going to be pretty rugged. So I'll be able to bring it around and not worry so much about my radio getting dinged up or anything. It'll be all protected.
So here's the big question: will it be ready for the 24-hour POTA that we're planning?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know how long it's going to take to get the cable in, but the wiring, but it shouldn't. Once we get it all put in, we just have to measure. How long the wires, because I want it to be nice and neat. I don't want to have a whole bunch of extra wires, so I'm going to probably put Messi and Poloni wire coax and cut the wire.
Some of the good stuff in the world. Although you might want to look at ABRs. ABR's got some really cool cable that came out of Hamcation, where it's the clear version of where you see the braid in it, but it's like their LMR 400. The nice part about it is the connector ends on them are SMA female, but they've created a modular approach. So if you got them the right length that you wanted in the box, you would then just put the right whatever connector on at that moment you wanted to connect to. So you didn't have to buy a custom cable per se. You just buy the length of cable you want. It would have the ends of the adapter ends on it, and then you just pick whatever ends you want to screw on it. But I won't just steer you away from Messi and Poloni either.
No, I'll look into it. I mean, we'll play it by ear. We'll see how it goes, and but hopefully it'll be done by the 24-hour POTA. So
cool.
That's the plan. I just want that radio because I want to be able to use it more, and I get nervous taking it out, outside the shack, and then pulling it out of the box. Anything can happen if it's all packed in there. It'll be easier on my stress, I guess.
Yes, it won't solve the finals blow up, hopefully, but either way, it'll at least keep her from getting banged up.
Yeah. So I'm excited though. I love that radio, and I'll be able to use it a lot more than I'm using it now. So.
Yeah, I know Team Yezu does outpower Team ICOM tonight, but that's totally fine. I love my DX10, and I can't say anything bad about ICOM. If I wasn't going to go that route with the DX10, I would have probably very much picked up the 7300 or gone that route. But hey, I've always bought Ram before I go buy Ford, so you know how it goes.
Right.
All right. Well, I guess Yeah, or yeah, well, that's the other option. Hey, the Toyotas are. I could never, as a 6'5" guy, I could never fit in a taco. So it's just one of those things. Although it's probably a little different if you go bigger.
Yeah, oh yeah, I love
So
my truck.
I'm with. So I would have to say for me, this week I have spent kind of just tooling around on FT8. I haven't played much with it for a while, and in some of my testing to try to get my ultimate setup going, with both OBS here on my computer and all of the other stuff, I very much kind of just said, okay, I'm gonna go play with FT8. So I made a couple of Croatia contacts, made some contacts that I don't normally have in my log. So I've kind of rounded it out, but then once again, Hawaii and Alaska still evade me in terms of POTA specifically. So I don't think I'll be able to get a chance to get those on FT8, but we'll see one day how that plays out.
Yeah, Tim was on the net tonight, KC1QDK, and he worked North Pole, Alaska. But I've worked them too. I've even worked them doing POTA, but I haven't. There's no park there, so
Right.
it's driving me nuts. I keep getting Hawaii. Was up all day today on FT8, and I couldn't find them. I tried every time they pop up. Guy was on 20 meters, 10 meters, 15 meters, everything, and nothing really works. So
You got to get them on sideband.
well, I can't even hear. That one time when Bill W1WRA sent out that message on Discord, I heard it on my phone. I ran down to my shack because it's easier to work it on the shack. And when I got down here, it was dead. I'm like, it came and it was gone. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I would have had them.
Yeah, I know. I've done the same thing several times, and I've kind of given up. I'm almost at the point that if I want to see all of my POTA, worked all states, or in the POTA app, I'm almost point of just buying, a couple of minutes here or there on those remote, flex units, and find one that's in the Midwest or on, Colorado.
They were talking about it on the Ham Radio Clubhouse that those guys are far closer to Alaska and Hawaii than they can't get them. So I don't know what it is. So I don't know.
Must be weird skip or something. So yeah, I guess outside of that,
and we'll get more Alaska. I mean, it's cold up there now, and isn't it dark all the time up northern Alaska? So I mean, once the spring gets around, it starts warming up. I'm sure there'll be more guys activating out there, but I can't imagine there's a lot of people like, oh, let's go activate a park. It's only 20 below today.
Well,
and it's dark.
Was it
Eric,
K?
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, go ahead yourself. Beat you to it.
All right. Well, no, I was just. I thought you did a couple park activations this week.
I did, and that was where I was going next. Is that I had a couple of 2 parks that I activated earlier, but to touch base, KL7EC is the guy you're probably referring to, Todd. He's actually pretty active in terms of some of his stuff. At least there's a video show that he goes out there in 30 below and sets up a Bob house and works everything from the middle of a lake in some park. So he's out there. I just can't hear him myself. But
well, I've heard him a few times, and he's always got a pile up, and I don't hear him that strong. So I tried, but.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the guy that did that park that they had to hike in? It was like a whole 2-day hike, and they had get snowmobiles.
He doesn't hike. He snowmobiles the whole entire thing in, and I mean, he hauls stuff. I mean, he's Paul's idol in terms of looking for that.
But they could only drive. They could only drive to a certain part, and then they had to stop and then switch the sleds, and then they had to go another couple hours out. And they hooked up, and that was a whole weekend deal. I'm like, oh, I'm bound to get him. Then I couldn't hear him. I heard him so faintly. So I was like, oh.
Yeah, so I ended up having 2 parks that I activated over the past week or so, and I think the one park I pulled I pulled the we'll call it an audible, I guess, on my own part. I drove all the way down to the Cape to go visit my parents for some to get them shuffled around and whatnot for a few things, and I figured I'd activate a park on the way home. So it was Susset Beach, beautiful park. Very easy to activate right on the river, the river that, runs between the Sagamore Bridge. So, you get all those views. But I got all the way out there and I'm like, yes, I'm going to set my woofer recoil up. I'm going to be super excited. Guess what? Woofer recoil's back at home. So I pulled another one of those, but thank God I was like, oh yeah, I got my, ATAS. So threw that on the truck, it tuned perfectly at a 1.5 to 1. And I was just like, all right, we'll just stay on 20. And I think after probably because I only had like 40 minutes before I had to kind of like play the traffic game so I don't get caught in Boston and stuff on the way home. So in about a 40-minute time frame, I had about like 54 contacts or so. But I think 4 of those, all of the 4 people, and I wasn't like, broadcasting or advertising anybody on any of my socials that I was out there, activating. And I had 4 people all like, hey, are you doing a video? And I'm like, I get sidetracked on that all the time. I still haven't gotten used to the hey, I know your channel exists. I know people are actually watching. And I'm like, so, 4 times it happened to me. And I think after the 4th time, I was like, okay, all right, this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's going to be a good feeling.
Yeah, New Year's, he was like the superstar. Oh, Eric, I love your channel. And I was like, yeah, it's just me with Eric, I don't even know who I am. They could care less, but
I'm more than willing to share the limelight with you guys.
We're going to have the paparazzi out there taking pictures. Oh, Eric's activating.
No way. Come on. No, I don't want to take all the glory. We're going to give it all to Ryan since he's kind of like in the shadows.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for Ryan right now. He's loving life down under.
Down under with no radios, although that I'm kind of like bummed out. Like, not that we'd be able to make contact with him, but it's a bummer that he's not able to get out there and play. Well, he could probably do a lot of remote. I'm sure he's going to do it from the flex, but it's not like fun because you're in Australia. You're running flex from home here on the U.S. side. Right. Contacting yourself from Australia. Ooh, that sounds real good. Yeah. But cool. So, all right. Well, that was it for me, I think, at this point. So we're going to kind of dive into tonight's episode. And we're going to get kind of in the weeds and we're going to talk antennas. We've been touching upon that a little bit, on and off. And, whether we talk about POTA or we're talking about field day. So we're just really going to, kind of just, get to the nuts and bolts of this stuff. So, we kind of all use them because we need to. I mean, otherwise, what's the point of playing ham radio? And we always have, our favorites when field day rolls around or when we play POTA. But, when the topic kind of came up and Paul had mentioned, hey, maybe we should talk about, a build or a buy scenario. What do we do for antennas and whether it's commercial is kind of a better way to go or, then we kind of the typical statement came up as like, oh, well, do you build your own antennas? Because if you don't, you're not a real ham, kind of approach. And I think, we'd all fall in that same category. We're not real hams if we buy all these commercial antennas that we have, although, I feel like I'm a pretty good real ham. There's not much more, that I can say that I don't do that, doesn't, demote me from, being in the radio hobby. But so let's kind of talk a little bit around that. So I know we've got all of our antennas and we'll touch upon some of those, as we kind of go through this process, but let's talk about like our favorites. So, going into this, let's break it into 2 categories. First and foremost, let's get the build out of the way. Has any of us done any antenna builds at all? Well, it doesn't matter whether like the J-pole antennas or, a ladder line antenna. Any of you guys have done any of that at all?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Do tell. All right, Paul, go ahead. So, save us a little bit here.
Okay. So, I got licensed right at the beginning of COVID there. So it's February 2021. And yeah, I mean, you're just scraping nickels to get by. How do you come up with a radio that's affordable and then an antenna that's affordable?
Right.
I happen to get my hands on an ICOM 706 Mark II-G for $400. It definitely fit the bill for what I was looking for. It was all mode, all bands, everything all in one.
Swiss Army knife radios.
Yeah, but so then, what do you do for an antenna then, right? And so I started researching, well, how do you build antennas and what are the, easiest and best to build? And so for very short money, the first thing I did was I bought one of these Cobra head adapters. And so it's a banana plug Cobra head adapter, BNC, female on the bottom. And then you put your BNC male on the coax. But so you can use these for many different things. It's a quick and easy dipole, right? You can either use the banana plug connectors that come with it, or you can just ring terminal it then these caps screw off, and you can put the ring terminal on and screw the caps down. So my first antenna was a fan dipole, and so I built 4 sets of legs out of regular, very, very inexpensive speaker wire, because, like I said, I was building on a budget. And I put up 20 meters, 20, 12, 10, and 6 were my four legs. And I hung it in a tree about maybe 15 feet up, and then I fanned it out as best I could across my yard. But it worked fantastic. And for a first antenna, to not only get the experience of building it and understanding how it works, but it didn't cost me more than maybe $25.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah. So, Todd, you said you haven't built anything kind of on your own, right? Right now, not like even like a listening antenna or anything like that at all.
No, I've just thrown them up in trees and assembled them. Not really a builder, but it has always interested me. I mean, we've had all the guys that build antennas, or we talk. I love watching the new antennas that come out, and I've probably watched 1,000 YouTube videos of the different antennas. But no, I haven't done one, but that seems pretty cool. I think if that's a pretty good thing, that the way you thought about it, to get it done on such a small budget, just using speaker wire. It's pretty
Right.
amazing.
Well, we're at the, jack of all trades. I mean, literally, you throw Paul like a nutshell, some duct tape, and 300
Just call
feet
him,
of
he's
copper
the
wire. He
ham
can come up
guy.
with, like,
He's the ham MacGyver.
He's
That
Ham
should, that should
MacGyver.
new name, the ham MacGyver.
Call him Ham Guyver. Yes, exactly. We'll have a little episode here. He'll have to bring, his latest Ham Guyver, project. Hey, new section, new episode. So, all right. So, I guess for me, now that you said that, Paul, it kind of triggered a thought. Like, I remember I got my license back in '91, so it was like in high school, and I was, like you said, it was like I was a high school kid, so I barely had a part-time job and whatnot. So like for me to be able to buy radios or anything like that was almost impossible. So I think the only antenna I ever did was a long speaker wire antenna that was really just kind of in listening mode, because I wanted to take my Bearcat scanner and lengthen the antenna and so I jury rigged a whole bunch of banana clips to the inside of the posts on the radio and strung a probably way too long speaker wire out the window of my second story bedroom. And I heard the world and I was like, oh wow, this is great. And that kind of it just inspired me more to like start saving my pennies to go buy my actual true HT to kind of play around with it. But I think the only antenna I really ever built was the typical copper J-pole antenna, because copper, when I was younger, it was pretty cheap. I mean, you could find it anywhere. My dad always had to replace pipes, so it was something that was lying around, and ready available. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll do this design, because I had an ARL. Somebody had photocopied the ARL manual for me and said, here's the J-pole antenna, go build this. And I probably don't have it, and I don't remember what it really looked like, but my soldering job was probably the most, like, it probably wouldn't hold water, never lets the air. It was so gapped, it was probably horrible. And back in those days, you had to just tune the radio based off of listening to the static on the radio, see if you were close enough get the tuning match to where it should be. Because to buy an SWR meter back in those days, I'm sure it was probably like ridiculously expensive. And I couldn't find a ham that had one. And so I remember getting out on it, and it was just like I was trying to connect to the local net, and it was pretty bad. But it was, like you said, Paul, it was a great experience. You learned a lot very quickly, and you kind of got into it. But I always swore that if I ever got back further into the hobby, I would beg, borrow, and steal to try to find a commercial antenna, or try to long for the days I could one day put up a tower with a beam on it or something. But
well, someday I would love to get into like directional Yagis. I mean, you can build the those small ones out of measuring tape and PVC pipe.
Yep.
So I want to start building some of that stuff too. And it's a lot of fun experimenting in this hobby,
Oh, yeah.
and you really truly start to learn once you get your hands on.
Yeah. I know Todd's that's your motto, Todd. I mean, you can tell me all you want, but until I get my hands on it, it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah. That's my biggest problem. I think it's like my learning disabilities. Like, you can tell me all this stuff and speak the language and And I don't know, like when we would get together when I first joined our club, I didn't know what you guys were talking about. I'm like, these guys are talking like another language. I just nod my head and just hang out like, oh yeah. But now I've been doing ham radio. I know some of the lingo. I've seen some of the stuff. I've put up a couple antennas. I've done the first time I put my buddy pole together, it took me like an hour. Now I can do that thing blindfolded with my eyes, in 5 minutes. Like it's just I know how to do it now. But yeah, I mean, I wish I had more time to kind of tinker and fool around with that stuff. But for me, at least in this part of my life, with my kids and sports and all the other things, I just find myself when I get home, I have all these plans in the morning. Okay, when I get home, I'm gonna do this, and I get home and I just crash. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing nothing. Like my brain isn't functioning enough to even look at it. I mean, sometimes it's even hard for me to like walk into the shack and put the headphones on and like, all right, am I going to do ham radio right now, or am I just going to unwind? So,
Well, it's funny because you mentioned like when I remember when you first bought that buddy pole, you were like, I don't know where I was at the time, but I got a random phone call from you. I think you were with your son, and you were like, I've got this antenna. I can't quite figure like, is it this and connect to this? And it's like I was like,
I was at a park in Connecticut, and I'm like, this isn't as easy as it said it was. And I had watched all the videos, and I just couldn't remember. So once I did it, then I like, okay, now I get it and I understand how it works. So that's just the way I am. But I think out of all of ham radio that I'm not actively doing, I do like all these guys that are building antennas that are, making them for people to buy, testing them, redoing them. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, the antenna has to be probably the most important part of a radio communication because, if you don't have an antenna, you're not reaching out to anyone, right? Or you're not hearing anything. So
Yeah. Well, and if you're not hearing, then it doesn't
right,
do any good that you're transmitting.
right, exactly. So
yeah, you could be like Carlos and transmit into a dummy load, but you're not going to really get out much. But
yeah.
Now,
So
Todd, you're kind of segmenting right into the commercial antennas here, right? But the buddy pole, you love it. I hated it. I
really,
bought that antenna and I set it up in my backyard and I got it all tuned up and everything. It was working, and then I went to go use it. It didn't work. It was too much of a hassle. I hated it. Hated it.
really, that's weird.
that's why I got a good deal on it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean,
yeah.
listen, you don't use yours that much either. You always go to I mean, one of the things I like a lot about it is it's so compact. Like it's perfect to throw in a backpack, right? But I mean, literally, I mean, the last park, the one I did down in at the airport in Boston, um, I I mean, I literally had like an hour and I didn't even think I mean, I literally threw the thing up in like 5 minutes. I mean, I've just got it down to a pat, and it's never failed me. I mean, knock on wood, it's always been a reliable antenna, and it's always got me what I wanted. I mean, and now that I've learned I've learned how to tweak it a little bit, right? So if anyone's familiar with the Buddy Pole Pro, is
Bro.
it has a elevated counterpoise, and there's little markers on it for each band. So 20 I know is blue, and then it goes gray, orange, red, whatever, and you stretch it out. It's elevated. Well, what I've learned is sometimes if you elevate it higher or lower, you can fix the SWR, and also on the antenna, the instructions say full right on the whip, but if you're off a little bit, you want to tweak it a little bit, you could just lower it a little bit, and you might get a little bit better. So I've kind of figured out a way to get the SWR really good for most days that I'm activating, and there's not a lot of movement. I mean, some days I just set it up my last thing and it's perfect. Other times, depending on where I am, it might need a little adjustment. But I've just done it so many times that I instinctually know what I need to do if I'm not getting a good SWR and it's not working, I know some options of what I can do to tweak it, and it's been pretty good. So I like it. It's really, I have not a lot to compare to. I don't have any other antennas that I'm saying, oh yeah, this is better. I mean, this is the one I've been using. I am interested in a res antenna. That to me is kind of like the Wolf River coil on steroids. And
Yeah.
It really is. I mean,
It's the same price tag. Yeah.
yeah, but I keep looking at it, but it is a little pricey. But it seems to be a pretty good antenna, and it's
Well,
again, it's
certainly a really slick design.
yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's the funny thing with commercials. So, like, even though building your own, you get the satisfaction of understanding your antenna well. Like when you get into commercials, Todd's sort of kind of already done that. I mean, he's familiar with his buddy pole now that he can look at something and go, "Oh, I need to do adjustment here or here to make it where it needs to sit." I'm a lot like that with my woofer recoil. Now, I like Todd said, I don't take my buddy pole pro out much, but when I do, I usually take it when I'm like going with family and I really need something super compact, because the woofer recoil is a great antenna, and it's not that it's not compact, but it kind of sticks out. The buddy pole is black. It's kind of invisible a little bit, and from a standpoint of me being able to get it set up pretty quickly, I can do it because the elevated radial is not really like, that's the only thing I have to worry about for people walking by or in a place that's public. So that's where I think the strong point of that antenna, and the fact that, like Todd said, it's like literally you can pack it down to the size of a small little carry bag that's like no thicker than a book, or even I would say no thinner than a book. But it's really just
and
it's a great
that includes the tripod and everything. So
everything, right?
It's and like, I mean, Eric, when we did the Rove, I mean, we did all those parks. I mean, how fast were we putting that up and
I didn't
taking it
even
down?
actually, yeah.
Like you weren't even paying attention. Like you were packing up your stuff. I already had it down and packed away, and so it's definitely it's a good one. It's definitely a good POTA antenna. But I want to try some other ones. I want to try to I know that John has a what is he? He has the what is that one? He has the vertical
Commander, the Commander.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
Expedition.
The Expedition, yeah. And he loves that. He's like, this thing is awesome. And I asked him, I said, how long does it take you to set up? And he's kind of like me. He goes, well, at first it took me a while, but now I can do it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
it does take some time. So that antenna, like, I give him credit because he does spend some time putting it together. Like, I think if we had antenna races, which kind of brings me back to that whole thing, we should do a POTA competition where, antenna assembly is a timed event, and, set up a radio as a timed event to make your first contact, all that kind of like for trophies or bragging rights. But, I think, if I was to match that even against my woofer recoil, I think I could get my woofer recoil much faster up and set up and tuned and ready than he could do his DX Commander, because there's a lot of elements in that whole entire thing, and it's a lot of it's like a song, like it's almost a coordinated dance to be able to get the whole thing up at the right time. But once it's up, my gosh, that antenna is like my hex beam, right out of the box. Muted, Todd. You're muted.
I don't know. It is really nice when you can just set it up an antenna quickly and it works.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a big benefit to that. But you had something to say, Todd?
Yeah. I mean, for me, POTA is, I'm not, most of my POTAs are not long-term events. I mean, we're looking at 1 to 2 hours tops, for most of them. And, when we did the Rove, we were probably there, 20 minutes sometimes, not even half an hour. So I think, like, if I was going to do like an all day thing, you have, Eric, you have the hex beam, right? Like that's an antenna that takes some time to put up. And even the Expedition would be another antenna I think would be probably better. You might get, clearer, you might get farther range, maybe. I don't know. But for me in POTA, it's perfect because it can be set up so quickly and taken down. I mean, I literally can go down to the rail trail, the National Rail Trail, on my lunch break for an hour. I can drive there, set up, activate for 40 minutes, take down, and be back in my office within an hour and activate the park. So, and it's probably like it's probably like a 10-minute drive. So 20 minutes of driving, and, I can pretty much do it. And I wouldn't be able to do that if it was like I had to fiddle around with stuff and it would take long. So, like when I was in Boston at the thing, 5 o'clock came, the guy pulled up, the ranger pulled up to me, he just stared at me. He goes, "I'm locking the gate." I'm like, okay.
Take it
And
down quick.
literally, I was able to, take it down and pack it up, no problem. And off I went. And
well,
he was happy.
So So I know, we kind of share the same things, but Paul, you've got a couple of antennas that just wow me. I know when we did our dual activation, you had a couple of verticals that were pretty impressive in terms of both listening and just getting out. What from your commercial stable, of antennas, what do you offer? Like, what's your favorites, and what's the quickest go tos for you?
Well, so I mean, as far as verticals go, obviously, Woofer recoil is a fantastic one. I have gone through a few of the telescopic elements.
Yes.
The first 17-footer, I broke it. All the little brass grommets inside that hold the sections together, they
Yeah.
all fell apart. Um, it comes with a shorter one, so I used the shorter one for a little while, and then I got the chameleon 17-footer, and
That's a beautiful antenna.
it's a really really stout antenna. It's well worth the money.
Yeah. How quick can you get that thing up? It's
Well, so I marked all the bands
okay.
just to make it easy, right? So I set it up in the yard. I went all the way up with it, eliminated the coil completely, so you just got 20 meters.
Mm,
And you usually got to shorten it probably an inch and a half to really truly get in the 20-meter band. But that's fairly easy, and I just take a black Sharpie and go around it at the junction, and then go down to the next band and do the same thing. Once you get it on your analyzer where it's good and it's resonant, throw a
yep.
freaking Sharpie on it or a paint marker. Yeah,
Mhm.
something that'll last.
Yeah, good
um,
tip. Yeah.
the Chameleon MPass 2.0 vertical is another great option. I love that antenna. That one, there's no adjusting it. You need a tuner. So unlike the Wolfer recoil that you can adjust and then operate without a tuner, the MPass 2.0, you 100% need a tuner for it.
Mhm.
But that's got multiple configurations too. Granted, it's a $600 antenna system, but it's got the ground spike, so you could just stick it right in the ground. I've stuck it on the Wolfer recoil tripod and run it that way. um, and then it's got the wire element, and so you can run a horizontal, you can run a inverted V, you can run an L. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can do it. um, and so, I mean, Chameleon makes amazing products. Their wire is fantastic. The Kevlar
Oh
line
yeah.
in the inside and the silicone on the outside, it just goes through the trees. You don't have to worry about pulling it. You
Mhm.
can you
No
you can
kinks. Yep.
really break some branches.
Yep. Bulletproof.
you know but yeah, so and it is always good to have verticals as an option, if you're at a park where space is limited. But I gotta say, I'm loving my wires.
I know you've been a recent convert, so you got to dive into it. And I know you're going to mention our favorite brand, and so yeah, feel free. So let's kind of touch it, because I know Todd has a wire at home that's his commercial base antenna. I've got a wire at home, but so let's kind of just focus on POTA and portable, because you kind of really do it better than I do, even though I kind of started that route. And I know Todd's got the same antenna we're going to be talking about in a second. So go ahead, dive into it. Might as well give Matt his praise, because I mean that antenna is pretty stout and pretty cool in general. But go ahead, do tell.
Well, so all right, cost, size, and usage, right?
Yep.
Reliance antennas 100% checks every single box. I was a little apprehensive initially at the cost, because
Mhm.
once you get the different sections, I mean, you're talking to 80-90 bucks. um the comparatively, right, the Xtenna is $65 on Etsy. The pack tenna, I want to say, is around the same when you can get it.
Yeah.
The
Although
coffee and
that's
ham.
gone up. I have to say that's gone up. Now it's like 135 now. So
Oh,
the
okay.
yeah, Pac 10 has definitely raised its elevation, because it's definitely in demand. Sure.
Yeah. So shout out to the coffee and ham radio guys. Their
Mhm.
Cartena and Fed Half Wave is $80. So there's a bunch of different options in that end fed half wave range that are in the same kind of price point. but I was so amazed. There was no need to tune it. There was no need to do anything. The first time I set it up, I did it as a sloper, and it was perfectly resonant in the digital portions of the bands. But
Mhm.
even in the phone portions, it never went higher than 2-1. And that's what 80 through 10.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
wow. 80. I didn't know.
Or
Okay,
no,
cool.
40. I'm sorry,
40
40. Yeah,
through 10.
40.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this last one, I was like, well, I'm gonna put it in an inverted V just because the location that I was at was different, and I needed to run it in that configuration. It ended up being electrically electrically short. So the
Or-
resonant frequency was up in the top of the phone portion.
Mhm.
But even still, I mean, it was less than 2-1 throughout.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he makes a fantastic antenna. It's small, you know. I love my little organizer bags. The whole thing fits in the organizer bag, you know, and so it's just a nice, easy 550 cord, everything all in one bag.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, he's got the wire too. So if you're looking for that kind of the chameleon, not so much Kevlar, but it's the silicone and the other. I can't remember the other
Stealth,
style. Yeah, stealth wire. That the stealth wire. I was like reluctant myself to kind of try it out, but once I got it, that was silky smooth. It very much reminded me of like the Pac tennis style wire and whatnot. I was just like, oh, I was just like this. When I first did that test. I did a review on it, and I similar like your experiences. I did a sloper, and I was just like, well, this is going to be okay. And then I didn't even touch it initially for tuning, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to play around with it. And even just adjustments are very easy to do on it in terms of antenna without having to like worry about like cutting yourself short or cutting too long or whatever. You can adjust it with not too much of an effort. And I was hitting from the Cape when I did the review in my parents' backyard. I was hitting Vermont. No, not Vermont. I was hitting Canada, upper parts of Manitoba in that area. I think I had one contact, and he was just like, "How much power are you running?" I'm like, "I'm running like at that point I was running the FX4CR, so I was running like 10 watts." And he was just like, "You're running 10 watts? You're 5'9". I'm like, "I know this is a great antenna. It's as simple as that. I can't chalk it up to anything. I mean, the radio's good, but in essence, the radio's only half of the equation." So I 100% subscribe to exactly what you agree with what you're saying. And I know Todd has the antenna yet, but you haven't gone out and played with it yet, have you, Todd?
No, I have it in my bag though, but it's been too cold. It's easy for me when it's cold. It's easy to put up the.
Wah, wah, wah.
But you guys, here's another thing. About wire. When I was in Florida, and I talked about this last night on our live thing that we did. The guy came. The guy was like, you can't throw anything up in trees, right? And I
Trees.
know a lot of people just bring the wire antennas, and then like, well, what am I going to do then, right? Now maybe you have the mast or something. You could jimmy rig it, but that's why the vertical. I'm like, oh, I don't need that. I go, I got a vertical on a tripod. We're good. And the guy came over. He goes, oh, I've never seen that before. I'm like, you get a lot of hams here? And he goes, oh yeah, they always want to throw their wires up in our trees. So I'm like, all right, well, I don't have any wires to throw up in it. Oh, I did, but yeah, I think when it gets warmer out, I think I'll give it a shot. I'll probably do it first time at the rail trail and see how that works. Try my new mast out too and see how it works. But it's definitely a cool antenna, and I think you did a lot. And all the reviews, everyone that I know that's used it has said it's just phenomenal. So.
And you heard it here first, so
Yeah.
don't go anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, we had him on first, right?
Matt whatsoever. Yeah, right. Matt's we're good friends with Matt now. We love hanging out with him. He's a good guy. So head over to his website. We'll put it in the show links just for those that are just new to hearing this. But definitely great antenna if you're looking for an end fed. I would say before I was a Reliance, fanboy, I used to use the ELFS antenna. That chameleon antenna, I can't remember if it's chameleon or it's chameleon.
Yeah,
that is a great antenna. That's another 40 through 10 end fed. Good construction. I took it down to Florida when I went down there to go during spring season for my son last was it 2023, and I made contact with Todd right from an island in Florida, and so and that was on running 100 watts. That was like clear as day, and it was like and that him and K Murder were my two, big scores for that, activation. But I ran into the same problem. I didn't have a park ranger come over to me and say, you need to put your antenna not in a palm tree. I had the problem trying to figure out how to put the freaking thing in a palm tree. It's not as easy as like, yeah, you look at pine trees up in New Hampshire and you're like, hey, I can hit a branch. The palm tree is just like, everything's like that far up. It's like, and you don't know if it's going to come
I might
down.
hit that coconut or not.
I know, right? And I ended up actually looping it around one of the leaves on the side of the actual tree itself, the trunk of the tree, instead of the actual, pine, the palm boughs. So I was just like, okay, whatever, it's up. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's just go for it and play.
What antenna did we use when we were up on Pac-Monadnock and we had
that was the
antennas.
LEFS. Yeah, that was the LEFS. Yeah,
that
was
one
the one that got a lot of attention. Yeah, it did. It got a lot of attention too. People were like, what the hell is that thing in the tree that you're running? Oh, yeah, I'm running a wire.
And I think a couple field days, right? A couple, like 2 field days ago, didn't I use that wasn't that the one I used for
2 field days ago? Yeah, 2021 or 22, we used that. And then the Go to station used it the year after, and they had really good luck with it too. So
right.
Yeah, that was definitely, and that price point was a little more pricier than I would have paid for it, but that was like almost a 190 out the door, shipped and whatnot. That actually, go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish up.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, that's kind of a good segue. Just kind of touch on. I'm sure we're talking a lot in terms of we had the experience, and for those that obviously know the experience and have had a chance to get out and do POTAs and activations and stuff. But like say they're in New Ham, like we bumped into a bunch of new ones and they're all like excited to get out there and do POTAs, but what would you guys kind of recommend to them? I mean, we've obviously done a little bit of both, but in your opinion, if you were asked the question, from a new POTA, new, green, gal that said, hey, I want to, do POTA, what antenna should I get? What would you throw at them? What would you recommend?
Me personally, I think I'd do the Reliance antenna first, even though
Really?
I haven't. Well, yeah, because if you're brand new, right, you don't want to throw them out like a $300-400 antenna. I mean, if you're just trying to, if they've got something, they've already spent some money on the HF, I think cheaper is better, or I shouldn't say cheaper, less cost, because it's not a cheap antenna. But less cost might be a little bit easier for people. Now, if they said money wasn't an option, then I'd be like, yeah, we'll get the buddy pole then. I mean, that's my number one thing. But that costs like, what is it, a couple of $300 or something?
Yeah, I think it was like a $300 price tag out the door. Yeah.
I talked earlier about I've been looking at this res antenna, right? And the one thing that's cool about that antenna is it does 80 meters.
Oh,
oh, really? Well, the buddy pole doesn't. So
yeah, the MPass 2.0 does too.
Yeah, so talk to us when you got something new and amazing.
All right. Well, anyway, that's why I'm looking at you get that there's 2 whips on it. There's one that's like a military whip, and then you can buy a normal like antenna whip that you can adjust.
Telescopic.
Yeah, telescopic. So you can actually do 10 through 80 on that vertical, and I think that's what kind of is cool for me, because especially if I like to mess around with and jump through the bands on an activation, if I get my first 10 like on 20, like that's always the go-to band. I like to mess around and try to go to 10, see if 10's working or if 10's not, and I'll look like, oh, there's not a lot of people on like 15, so I'll go on 15 just to see, and then like you'd be surprised, and it's quiet. There's not, you don't get the interference a lot. So
here's a question. You obviously brought 80 to the foreground there. I activate in the middle of the day. 80 is horrible. You're not going to get anything on 80 in the middle of the day. So like, is that like, I don't think that's a deal breaker in terms of buying an antenna a lot of times, because
no, I just don't have a POTA antenna that'll do 80.
Okay. So you just want to talk about your ailments and the last time you went to your doctor visit, you want to make sure you have that capability.
Okay. So
my hemorrhoids are flaring.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Listen, when I can't go to when I'm falling asleep at work, I'm doing the third shift, I'll go on 80 and just listen. And man, let me tell you, I could do a podcast of just recording them and just putting up the blips. And I think it would be, or a YouTube channel, I think it would be a major hit. Because I can't, I mean, these guys are like they're committing felonies on their air. Like literally threatening to kill each other because one guy has one opinion and the other guy. And I've heard these guys, I know where you live. I'm like, what is going
We're gonna have to do a Mystery Science Theater 3000
Yeah.
or something like that, where we just listen to 80.
Yeah. But you know, one of the challenge, I don't know if there are awards or challenges or achievements that you get in POTA is work in parks and getting different bands, right? So not a lot of people do 80 on POTA. You know, I haven't seen a lot. But
A late
you know,
shift.
what? Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be
So if
where,
you're
yeah.
doing so if you're doing a late shift and you know in the summertime and you're at a nice park and you decide you want to see what happens on 80, I bet you'd be surprised on who you could get. And who knows, maybe you'll get some angry hams yelling at you for taking up their space on
I
doing
know,
POTA.
for
Like,
activating a park on 80.
I'll be like, what the hell is this crap? This isn't for POTA. This is for Ragchu. This is for us hating people. It is
So,
freaking crazy though. They
after,
talk
go ahead. I was gonna say,
and you know, and that antenna, the res antenna, you know, from what I looked at, it comes in a backpack. It's all packed up. I mean, I'm thinking, well, this would be a cool. You can have this backpack, have this antenna put in there. It's got enough room for everything else. I could throw all my antennas in there, right? And then I could just throw them in the bag in my truck, in my Jeep, and just leave it there, and then be like, what antenna do I want? And I don't have to worry about thinking which one did I bring, which one didn't I bring. So I don't know. It's a lot of money, but it's on my wish list. How about that?
well, you know, we are all about spending Todd's money. So, yeah. Please, you know, chime in, send emails, tell Todd how he needs to buy the next res antenna, and we'll share it on our next episode.
Ryan got my wife to approve a tower, but I have to buy her a kitchen. So I said we need a GoFundMe page because I'm going to need a shitload of money to get a kitchen and a tower.
Yeah. So, you heard it here, folks. We have a buy me a beer link in our Patreon. Start somewhere.
We need a lot of beers to get this thing going.
All right. Well,
help Todd get Hawaii and Alaska. Get him a tower.
I know, right? But let's go higher. Shoot for the moon, they say, right? All right. Well, enough of this 80 talk. You know, so back to our original question. So, you know, Paul, what would you recommend to, like, obviously somebody coming into the hobby? You know, would you go vertical? Would you go wire? And I know Todd obviously went wire, but you know, what's your thinking on it?
Well, so I guess if you can do both, do both. If you can buy a vertical and build a wire, right, then you're going to save yourself a lot of cost, right? But I mean, if you just want to buy it and have the simplicity of buying it, yeah, the Reliance bug out and fed is fantastic. I saw T.O. did a video of the Chameleon LAVFS 40 through 10, and I didn't realize that it had a dipole option.
The new one, yes.
Yeah, the new one, because the original does 80 through 10. The new one is 40 through 10 with a dipole option. I thought that was really ingenious of them to set that up, because then if you can run it as a dipole, you run it as a dipole. If you can't, you can run it as a vertical. You can run it as a sloper. You can run it, you know, any which way that you want. And I think with somebody just starting out, you want one antenna or two antennas that are really versatile, because otherwise, I mean, it'll get away from you and you'll spend a fortune on antennas.
Yeah, that's for sure. I would agree with I think we all have kind of been through that pattern of, Todd's getting there. I mean, but between you and I, Paul, we've already gone through I like this antenna, but what about the shiny new one over here? Or, you know, what about this one over here? This one doesn't do what I wanted to do for this one, and this one's a pain in the ass to tune. So, you know, I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna change, direction here. So, you guys have all great points. So I don't know how to phrase this, because originally my thought was, go vertical, and I was going to steer towards the Wolf River coil, but only with the specific version of the Sporty 40. And the reason why is twofold. One, it's a smaller coil. It's really kind of tuned for 40 and below. And if you configure it right, even out the door after you've got a larger base and a bigger, better whip and the small Sporty 40 coil, you're probably still in this a little bit cheaper, south of what you'd pay for a Buddy Pole Pro or, any of the, the more expensive, chameleon whips and stuff like that are very like, if you want a brand that's versatile and, interchangeable, Chameleon's kind of the way to go. Like you start with something Chameleon, you can just add on to it and just, create this whole new, setup for you. So I think, if you're into that, that's a great direction to go. But for me, I think when I did all of my research and I, started out, I was like, I need something that's not going to affect my interaction at the park. And I didn't know at the time. And when I did start doing parks on the air, there never really was that issue with a lot of the park rangers with throwing stuff up in the trees, unless you were kind of at a national monument or something. But I always just was like, I don't have time to spend throwing something up in a tree. I just want to plop it down on the ground, run my coax to it, figure out how to frustrate myself enough to tune it. And then, once I figured out how to work the bugs out of it, I'd be good to go. So that's where the Wolf River coil really worked well for me. And when I paid for it out of the box with a 24-inch base and the coil, the platinum coil, and the standard 17-inch whip, I think it was like, roughly a little shy of like 300, out the door. So it worked really good for, the first antenna that I had. I still go back to it a lot. And I very much love that antenna no matter what. I've gone, adding to it and throwing it in a center loaded configuration and a few other things and tweaking it and whatnot. So it's a great antenna to learn how to cut your teeth on. And that I think that's kind of the message I want to send to people is that no matter what antenna you're going to get, you're either going to get super frustrated or you're going to be like, I'm in love and this thing's great. And it just works out of the box and tunes, 1-to-1 or 1.5-to-1 out of the, or even 2-to-1, perfectly fine, no matter, what environment you're in, and you just go with it. So, I guess I think all of us, come from different walks of life and all of us have different experiences, but all of those experiences are very valid and important because, for the new ham, I think all of our questions to them, or the first question to them is like, well, what do you want to do? And that's, going to dictate whether they go vertical or they go wire, right?
Yep. Because everybody's into different aspects of this hobby, and that's the great thing about it, And so if parks on the air is your thing and you want to set up and do long activations, I love doing like 4-hour activations. That's kind of like my sweet spot. And I'll get anywhere, from like 100 to 200 contacts. It's, it's fun and it's worth it for me, but I definitely can see how, like, the lunch break, setup, you want it to be really compact. You want it to be really easy to go up and really easy to come down. And, a lot of the wire antennas and the vertical antennas, they fit that mark. So it's what works for you.
Yeah. Well, that's like sometimes, like for me, when I'm working, I'm driving around New Hampshire. I'll have to go I'll have one meeting in one place and I'll have to drive like an hour, but I've got 3 hours until the next meeting. So it doesn't you don't come back. So what do you do for 2 hours? Well, then I look on the map and I said, what park could I hit on my way to the next meeting?
Yep.
And I've done that. I hit a Vermont park, two Vermont parks, because I was coming down. I was up in a town called Warren, New Hampshire, and then I had to come down to Claremont. So I took 91. I went out farther west, hit 91, came down, and came back. So you're right on the river there. So I hop over to Vermont. And, here's a park right off the road here, and able to set up, activate that, and then head to the next meeting. And it killed me, killed an hour and a half at time. So, and that's how I like. I mean, that's like when I can do POTA, in between meetings or while I'm at work. But I do like to sit down. If I had the time to just sit down like you would do in like 4 hours and just sit there and relax and crank out 200 contacts and do all the working, but I just don't have that kind of time. When I retire, oh yeah, I'll be doing that.
You heard it here.
I gotta, people are like, oh, why do you want to retire? I'm like, trust me, I got a whole plan. I'm gonna be very, very, very happy person in my retirement. So I'll be flying my model airplanes and doing parks, every day, and hopefully I'll be down on the beach and I'll be taking swims in the ocean.
Yeah, good plan, man. When you say 4-hour activations, Paul, I go, oh, I'd love to feel what that feels like. I just, because I'm like Todd, like a lot of times I'll squeeze in, I will like try to use and milk every bit of every minute of the day, when it comes to trying to figure out how I can fit in a activation. Like, so the Cape was a perfect example. Like I was coming home and I was like, all right, I'm going to leave at a certain time, and my time slot slid an hour. And I was just like, okay, well, I literally have about half an hour to activate. Okay, let's just get to the park. I don't care. If they lock me in, fine. But if they don't, I'm just gonna, go for the 30 minutes, and I'm gonna work it hard and work it quick and work it fast. And those for me are thrilling because it's like it's a heart pumping kind of adrenaline rush. It's like, you're either gonna have a successful activation or you're gonna have one of those activations where you're begging and pleading people to, answer your CQ when you're out there. And I love both of them. I can't say enough about, those moments, when no one hears me and I'm like, did I actually spot myself on the spotting page? You kind of sit there, thinking like maybe my cell phone signal didn't actually say it was posted, or those moments where you just like, is this ever going to stop? I mean, like this just keeps coming. And it's like, oh, a break. No, it's more again. And, you kind of go back around through that cycle. And,
Paul's got the stamina to withstand 4 hours of operating POTA. When we do the 24-hour, it's going to be Paul's going to do 4 hours. Todd will do an hour. Eric will do an hour. Paul will do 4.
That's the schedule right now. That's where it goes.
The hardest part about long activations though is I have to every like 5 minutes or so. I'm sorry, hold on a second. I have to pee.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just set up a John there. You can sit right on it. Just go right through it. You punch it. Get your stuff done. What's Paul doing? Oh, he's busy for a second. Give him a second.
One of the parks that I was doing in Florida, and I left my water in the car, and it wasn't like, I had to walk in a little bit. So I'm like, I was dying of thirst. I'm like, and it's hot in Florida. And I'm like, guys, I go, give me 5 minutes. I got to go get my water. I'll be right back. Don't leave. I'll get you all. I promise. I won't leave until I get you all. And they waited, and they come back. And as soon as you call your thing, it's like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
it's such a great feeling though.
Yeah. No, I love the pilot. It's so much fun. It's what makes, when I was studying for my technician, I would watch, I know you guys would think I'll be like a total geek, but I would watch like live YouTube of people doing 13 colonies. And I just watch them doing pile-ups. And I'd be like, just amazed. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do that. Like, how are they even doing it? And then now I see myself in POTA, like I'm doing what I watched them do that I said I'd never probably be able to do. And, and you're, it's like, they're calling you, they're looking for you. They want to talk to you. And it's pretty cool. So you feel like you're one of those professional even though not professional, but those DXers that are contesters that are like, so you're like, wow, look at that. They and people if you get to a rare park, like I've been to some parks that like, I'm down in Mississippi and like parks that no one even goes to, and they're like, thanks for the new park, man, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was like, no problem.
You're gold,
Right?
man. That's what works.
Yeah.
You end up becoming gold. People want you badly.
Yeah.
You love to, like when I'm in the Cape, it's like I'll be CQ, blah blah blah, POTA. I'm a park, blah blah blah. I'm in the state of Massachusetts, sitting on Cape Cod, and all of a sudden, once I say Cape Cod, they're like, "Oh my gosh, Cape Cod!" Gotta be, I gotta get him in the log. I'm like, yeah, it's just Cape Cod, guys. I've activated this park like 4 times.
It's not like a separate. Well, we were on that island in Newcastle, and we worked that guy, and he goes, "Hey,
you're also an island."
Back, and he goes, "It's also an island. Are you doing islands on the air?" But we gave him the information so he could log it on islands of the air. I'm like, we didn't even know. We're like, wow, we did an island on the. We're in Newcastle.
We're just focused on our rove. We don't care about the islands. give us a break. But yeah, it was good either way. That is a thrilling event, for sure. That's sort of like a triathlon for the diehard athlete.
Yeah, I want to
So
do it again. It was so much fun. It was a blast.
yeah, I think we should do a dual team effort. Well, we should talk about that some other episode where where it's Ryan, us four, and we all start at one end of the 7 parks and the
Come
other end, and we
together.
somewhere meet in the middle. Yeah, and figure out how quick we can do it in, and see whether or not we cross wires. So yeah, hey, maybe it might work out too. If we do it as when we get our club call. So we'll have to do it at that time. That'd be pretty cool to do.
I guess Could
Yeah,
you
we're
run?
just-
Could you run the club call? I guess you could use it twice, right? Like 2 different groups doing it at the same time.
Yeah, you just stroke whatever.
Yeah. So stroke 1,
'Cause-
stroke 2, see who gets most contacts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Team one.
it'd be great if we could meet in the middle and like stop and all have lunch together.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, dude, you're speaking my language. That's what I said. Yeah, hey, we're all over that one. So yeah, we'll have to plan that one after we do our 24-hour putter. Man, we're gonna be busy this summer.
It sounds good.
I'm game with you. Cool. All right. Well, let's kind of wrap this up, put a little bow on it. So, I mean, we obviously talked about, balance of both commercial and, build your own type antennas, so I think the consensus is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you're, a new ham and you've had no prior experience in electronics or, kind of an engineering field or whatever, that there's nothing bad about buying a commercial antenna. And we've mentioned a bunch of them, I think, that would be, fit the bill well and definitely are widely available and you can pick them up pretty quickly. But is there anything that we'd want to throw in, like as a kind of a last, bit of advice to someone who's just, joining in this hobby, maybe tuning into this podcast and, heard us talking about, antennas and have been blown away by the deluge of information that's out on the YouTube space about antennas out there. Any one last bit of thing advice you'd want to throw at them?
I just say if you can go out with someone who has some experience. I remember the first time the 3 of us did the rail trail together. Paul and I showed up at the airport, and I said, "So, did you bring anything?" And I'm like, "I didn't bring anything." And he goes, "Oh no, Eric's bringing everything." And we didn't really know. At least I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So just let you take the. But I think that was a good kickstart for both of us, even to really get moving, because we actually all 3 of us did it. So if you're interested in doing PODA, I know there's guys in our club that have never done it, really interested, and I keep saying, let's go out. And they're like, oh, as soon as it gets warm. So hopefully, between all of us, we'll have enough guys in our club that are going to want to go out there and learn how to do it. I think if you do it once and you activate the park and you get a little pile up going, they're going to be psyched, and it's just going to grow that part of ham radio, and it's going to get more people on the air. And that's what this is all about. That's what we're trying to do here is really just inform people, get people out on the air, get them their tickets, and enjoy the hobby like we all do. So that'd be my only advice, and have fun with it. It shouldn't be a stressful thing. It should be fun, and always have someone you can call. Like when I called Eric and I said, I don't know how to set up this. What am I doing wrong here? And he walked me through it.
Yep. How about you,
So
Paul?
exactly what Todd was saying, right? Is having fun is the most important aspect of it, because if you're not having fun, what's the point? But whether you decide to build or buy, right? Even if you buy, right? I encourage everybody to experiment and build, because you learn so much by experimenting. And these days, the tiny VNA is really affordable for most people, and I don't really like it as an analyzer, because I don't understand all of the settings in it, but it's affordable, and it works, and you can very easily start testing antennas and building things and seeing how different things work. And yeah, just have fun with it, and try it out, experiment.
Cool. All right. Well, the only thing I would throw in that is that know that there's not one antenna for every occasion and every setup, and that if you can come to grips with that early on, knowing that the first antenna you buy is not going to be the last antenna you buy, then I think you'll be okay with whatever you buy the first antenna, whether it's commercial or you build it. Whatever your comfort level is just don't be afraid to be okay with whatever your choice is, because if you're surrounded yourself with good hams and other people that love the hobby, they aren't going to ridicule you for, oh, you built commercial or whatever. And if they do, then go find another group, because in essence, you're with the wrong people. But just, try it out, play with it, learn a lot from it. You will make a ton of mistakes. That's the biggest thing I think as a takeaway would be, is you will fail. Just, keep that in the foreground of your mind. You will fail. There will be activations. You will forget coax. You will forget your battery. You will forget how to set your radio SWR, or you'll forget your logger. I mean, like simple things like that, so, don't worry about it. Just get out, have fun. Know that next time you'll come around and you'll be that one step better. So, when it comes to antennas, think the same way. That first antenna you have is not going to be the last antenna you use in your life. So, knowing that, I think, you're armed with a bit of information to get out there and try. And so if you're in the market for looking for antennas and the choices that you heard from us, you want to find more information on, definitely check their websites. All the links will be in the description below. But more so, feel free to email us. We're happy to help out. We're happy to give more advice. We're happy to point you in the direction of other resources that we've learned from, and that other people that are smarter than us, and then build antennas, for most of their life can provide, better information and get you on the road to where you need to be. So, that's
Just
my
get
bit of
yourself
advice.
just get yourself a MacGyver like we do.
Yeah, right, exactly. We're blessed to have Paul. So we're gonna have to create a theme here. All right, cool. So let's
the last important thing, right, is ham radio makes me feel dumb every day, and that's okay.
Come on, that's a t-shirt, man. We got to finish that. We got to put that together.
Yeah.
That'll be good enough. All right. Well, with that, the last point, thank you for joining Live Free and Ham podcast. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, you can always connect to the show by leaving us a review in iTunes, or feel free to email us at livefreeandham@gmail.com. Let us know how we're doing. And, if you've got any questions, we'd love to, bring those onto the show next time. When we post to our socials, you can get the latest information, shows, and content. So make sure you subscribe to all of those. And as always, if you want to help the show, you can support us through our Patreon or buy us a beer links. And those are all in the description notes below and on our website at livefreeandham.com. And as always, if you want to catch any of our or talk to any of our hosts, you can head over to our website at livefreeandham.com, and you'll find all the links there and comment form if you want to reach out to us. So again, as always, thanks for listening for all of us at Live Free and Ham 7-3.
7-3.
Where's my mouse? Damn mouse, where are you? There we go. Okay. I can't hit the recording.